What's up, guys? So I want to do a little manifesting 101 for anybody who hasn't heard this. This is pretty basic. This is something that's repeated a lot. But that being said, even for me, I need the reminder from time to time. I find it that when I hear somebody else say it, it reminds me just to do it. Even if I already know, sometimes having that reminder is good. So this is also something that you can use as a practical tool as well as a spiritual tool, just for making your life better in general. And that is asking yourself, if I had everything I wanted, if I had everything I already wanted, rather than thinking about it as something, rather than thinking like you need things, whether it's you need to do something, you need to take something on, you need to take some sort of attribute on, rather than thinking about it like you're missing physical things, I want you to think about it this way. Who and how would I be if I already had these things? Who and how would I be? Excuse me, that was gonna bug me. Who and how would I be if everything was exactly the way I wanted it? What would I be thinking? What would I be feeling? How would I be acting? What would I be doing differently than I am now? What thoughts would I have? This is something that I have to constantly remind myself and had to dig into. There was a period of time where things were really great before lockdown, before my Saturn return. And then slowly but surely, I started having money troubles. And I had to start asking myself, what's different? What is so different about the way I am now in comparison to the way I was before that's creating these money troubles for me, making me feel less abundant and making me feel less overall? And what I realized was, back when I was feeling abundant and when I was more abundant, everything I did, because I had more money than I had ever had before, even when it still wasn't even at its peak of what I had, I was grateful to be able to pay for anything on my own for the first time. I was grateful. I wasn't worried about the next bill. I mean, I was aware of the next bill, but I wasn't worried about the next bill. I was just grateful that I could pay for this one right now, because it was the first time. I was excited to, because it was the first time I was getting to be an adult and self-sufficient and responsible for myself, and that was exciting. And then slowly but surely I got used to those things. And granted, that's not to ignore all of the things that lockdown brought with it, because I couldn't control the fact that a bunch of the clients that I had prior to lockdown were going to lose their jobs or lose some of their hours or not be able to work even though they weren't actually losing their jobs. I couldn't control that. But what I could control was my gratitude for the fact that even though I didn't have abundantly a bunch of extra anymore all of a sudden, I still had enough. But I started letting that worry me in a way that it didn't before. And so as I slowly but surely recognized this and asked myself, okay, what was I doing differently than I am doing now? Once I started recognizing and pinpointing those things and going back to what I was doing before, just being grateful to pay every bill, reminding myself that there is more where this came from. Money is just an energy. It's just an energy exchange. There's more where this came from. Not only did I start feeling more abundant, but I actually started seeing an influx of people coming to me as clients, because that was reflected in my self-esteem. It was reflected through my videos, how I felt, whether I realized I was doing that or not. So, it was reflected in the way I would talk to potential clients. And it would reflect in the content that I was putting out to attract potential clients. So, what I started to realize was that, and this is where I needed that reminder, we never should allow ourselves to get caught up in this idea of I know everything. Because whether or not you know it doesn't mean you're actively integrating it, doesn't mean you're actively actually using it and doing it, and that doesn't mean you can't forget and stop, even though you were actively doing it before. So this is why I like this little reminder, because it reminds me every time I hear it from the people that I listen to and follow, even though I don't assume them as teachers anymore, I still listen to them as reminders. How would I be if this was already the case? And that's grateful. And that's stress-free. Most of the time, it's elite, it's not just relieving, it's out of your mind entirely. Because the first couple of times it's relieving, but then once you get into the habit of it, it's no big thing. It's not a thing anymore. Being able to just, for instance, pay for whatever you want. Getting love from somebody else. Once you start really receiving that caring, it's not all of a sudden this magnificent miracle anymore, because you get that love all the time. That's not to say you shouldn't appreciate it and find ways to be grateful for it. We all need to do more of that rather than just being used to what we have. But there is a little bit of that used to what I have. I am used to what I have because I have it, because I'm secure in having it. That we need to integrate if we want to actually see it in our lives. That we need to remember, because it's not fake it till you make it. It's be it already until you see it tactile, physical reality appear. So I just wanted to put that little reminder out there for myself, for you guys, for anybody who hasn't heard this before. When it comes to manifesting, the number one key, all of 101 manifesting, all of the 101 how to make my life better, is if I was already experiencing what I wanted to be experiencing, how would I be acting? Who would I be? What would that look like? And start adopting those things now. How would I dress? How often would I brush my teeth? How often would I bathe? Would I do any of those things differently? What would I eat? Would I do any of that differently? And start taking on as many of those things as possible. Much love. May the energy you serve you well, and let's keep making our way through.